Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel General Knowledge Track. This is the second lecture on the series of computer networks. If you are new to our channel, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions for us, please write it below in the comment section. In the last video, we have discussed about the definition, basic communication model, components of communication model, data flow between two devices, and network criteria to check the performance and efficiency of a network, and types of networks. So today in this video we are going to discuss about the various topologies, what are different types of transmission mediums, what is internet, and which network models are used. So let's move on to the next slide and start with the network topologies. So physical topology or topology refers to the way in which a network is laid out physically. So two or more devices connect to a link. Therefore, two or more links form a topology. So the topology of a network is geometric representation of relationship of all the links and linking devices, which are known as nodes, or we can say terminals, devices. There are four basic topologies which are possible in any computer network: mesh, star, bus and ring. And the hybrid topology is generally a mixture of two topologies. So let's discuss what is a bus topology. So in bus topology, there is one long cable that acts as a backbone to link all the devices in the network. So as you can see in the diagram, there are four devices which are connected to a backbone or a common channel, or a one long cable that is acting as a backbone where all the links to various devices are connected. So in this way, nodes are connected to bus cable by drop lines and taps. So this topology is the simplest topology, and it has one major drawback, that as the signal travels along the backbone, some of its energy is transformed into heat energy. So therefore it becomes weaker and weaker as it travels further. So therefore, for this reason, there is a limit on the number of taps a bus can support, or number of devices that can be connected to the backbone channel, and also on the distance between these taps. So these are generally used where there is less distance between different nodes and number of devices to be connected are few. This topology also offers some basic advantages, like it is very easy to install bus topology. So the backbone cable can be laid along the most efficient path and then connected to the nodes by drop lines of various lengths. In this way, a bus uses less cabling than the other topologies. Also in this topology, redundancy is eliminated. Only the backbone cable stretches through the entire facility. So each drop line has to reach only as far as the nearest point on the backbone is present. Some other disadvantages include difficult reconnection and fault isolation. So it is basically designed to be optimally efficient at installation. So therefore it is difficult to add new devices to it. So there is also a problem of degradation in quality, as earlier discussed. So in addition to fault or break in the bus cable, even when Even distance between the devices on the same side is also a problem. So it is first topologies which were used in early local area networks. So Ethernet LANs can use a bus topology, but nowadays they are very less popular. So after bus topology, let's move to the next topology, star topology. So in this network structure, each device has a dedicated point to point link only to the central controller. As you can see in the diagram, there is a device written as hub, which is the central control device which is connected to all the devices in the network. So these devices are not directly linked to one another, so therefore it does not allow the direct traffic between various devices. So here the hub or the controller act as an exchange. So if one device wants to send data to another, it sends the data to the controller first, which then relays the data to another connected device. So here if one computer wants to send some data to another computer, firstly the data will go to the hub, and hub will control whether to relay it further or not. So it is in this topology, the main problem is if in some circumstances the central device fails or the hub fails, then whole the system will crash. So its advantages are it is very easy to install and reconfigure. As you can see, there is a single controlling device. So you may add number of devices without affecting the whole network, as you can directly link into the hub. So it is very easy to install and reconfigure, and very less cabling is to be required, as if you want to move, delete or add any one connection, so only the connection between device and hub is to be reinstalled. Another advantages of this topology is it is very robust. So if one link fails, only that link will be affected and all the other links will remain active and data transmission can still take place. So it leads to easy fault identification and fault isolation. As I have earlier told you, this is an advantage for this topology as well as a disadvantage, because if the control device fails or central device fails, then whole system will crash, because the whole topology is dependent on one single point, the hub. So if one single device hub goes down, the whole system is dead. It is used in local area networks. High speed LANs often use a star topology with a central hub. So this is the second topology or second type of physical structure in which devices can be connected. Let's move on to the next topology, which is known as ring topology. So as the name suggests, the computers or the systems are connected in a ringed manner. So each device has a dedicated point-to-point connection with only two devices on either side of it. So a signal is passed along the ring in one direction from device to device until it reaches its destination. So each device incorporates a repeater. As you can see in the diagram, the computers are connected to each other in a ringed manner. So data transfers from one device to another until it reaches the destination. Because moving from one device to another through the various links, the signal gets weaker. So therefore each device will have repeater with it. So when a device receives a signal intended for another device, its repeater regenerates the bits and passes them along. So it is relatively easy to install and reconfigure because each device is linked to only its immediate neighbors, either physically or logically. So if you want to add or delete a device, it requires only changing two connections. The only constraints in this topology are media and traffic considerations. So there is a limit on maximum ring length and number of devices that can be connected through the ring. So in addition, fault isolation is simplified. If in a ring topology a signal is circulating at all the times, so if one device does not receive a signal within a specified period, it can issue an alarm. So the alarm will alert the network operator about the problem and its location. So, but however, the same becomes a disadvantage if the traffic is unidirectional. So in a simple ring, if there is a break in the ring, for example there is a disabled station that can disable the whole network. So this weakness can be solved by using a dual ring or a switch which is capable of closing off the break. So this is prevalent. This topology was used when IBM introduced its local area networks token ring. So today the need for higher speed LANs has made this topology very less popular. We'll also be covering token ring specifically in forthcoming lectures, as it is also an important topic. So let's move to the next topology, mesh topology after this. In a mesh topology, every device has a dedicated point-to-point link to every other device. That means each device is connected to another device in the network. So there is a mesh of connections between various devices. The term dedicated here means that the link carries traffic only between the two devices it connects. So we can find out the number of physical links in a fully connected mesh. For example, we have n number of nodes. We consider that each node must be connected to every other node. So node 1 must be connected to n minus 1 nodes. So node 2 must be connected to n minus 1 nodes. And finally n node must be connected to n minus 1 nodes. So we need n into n minus 1 physical links. However, if each physical link allows communication in both directions, we are talking about duplex mode, then we can divide the number of links by 2. So therefore the number of links is n into n minus 1, that can be divided by 2 if we are talking about the duplex communication or duplex mode. So for example, we have 5 nodes connected to each other, then we have to find out the number of physical links in this fully connected mesh. So we'll be multiplying 5 into, here 5 is n and n minus 1 becomes 4. So 5 into 4, so there will be 20 total number of physical links which will be present if 5 devices have to be connected to each other in a mesh topology. And if the links are in the duplex mode, then n into n minus 1 divided by 2, 5 into 4 divided by 2. So the number of links required will be 10. So in this way you can calculate the number of physical links if we are given the number of nodes in the topology. Also, if we want to have so many links in a network, so then we must also have n-1 input output ports for to be connected to the other n-1 stations. So you can see that how many number of ports we require. Its few advantages are: first, it is using the dedicated links so that each connection can carry its own data load, thus eliminating the traffic problems. Second, it is robust. If one link becomes unstable, it does not affect the entire system, because we can have multiple paths. If one device is not working, data can transfer from one device to another through some other path. Third advantage is advantage of privacy or security. So when every message travels along a dedicated line, only the intended recipient sees it. So physical boundaries prevent other users from gaining access to messages. And the last advantage is point-to-point links make fault identification and fault isolation very easy. So traffic can be routed to avoid links with suspected problems. So it also have some disadvantages, like it requires a high amount of cabling, because we have to connect each device to the other devices, and also the number of input output ports required are also very high. So therefore installation and reconnection is a bit difficult, and also bulk of wiring can be greater than available space. And last is hardware required to connect each link. Input output ports and cable can be very expensive. So therefore, for this reasons, it is usually implemented in a limited fashion. For example, as a backbone connecting the main computers of a hybrid network that can include several other topologies also. So one practical example of a mesh topology is the connection of telephone regional offices, in which each regional office needs to be connected to every other regional office. So after the mesh topology, let's move further to the hybrid topology. As the name suggests, and you can see in the diagram, hybrid is basically a collection of different topologies. For example, you can see in the diagram there is a ring topology, and few devices are connected in the star topology. So this is a hybrid topology where we are using the advantages of both the topologies. So it will depend upon the application for which we want to set up a network, and based upon that we'll be using that particular topology. So this is about the topologies we can implement or use. After topologies, let's move on to the transmission medium and its types. So in data communication or computer networks, the terminology transmission medium is a physical path between the transmitter and the receiver, that is the channel through which data is sent from one place to another. So the transmission medium is broadly classified into following types: wired or wireless medium. The wired medium is also known as guided media, and unguided media or wireless transmission medium is same thing. So guided media refers to the signals being transmitted and directed and confined in a narrow pathway by using the physical links. So the devices are connected by using physical links here, Its features are it is very high speed, it is more secure, and can be used comparatively for shorter distances. Here we have three types of wired medium: copper twisted pair cable, coaxial cable, and optical fiber cable. So starting with the twisted pair cable, it generally consists of two separately insulated conductors or wires which are bound about each other. Generally, such pairs are bundled together in a protective sheath. They are most widely used transmission medium. So it is basically of two types: unshielded twisted pair cable and shielded twisted pair cable. So the unshielded twisted pair cable or UTP, this type of cable has the ability to block interference and does not depend on a physical shield for this purpose. So it is basically used in the telephonic applications. Its advantages include it is very cost effective, easy to install, and high speed capacity. And disadvantages include it is susceptible to external interference, it has lower capacity and performance in comparison to the shielded twisted pair cable, and short distance transmission occurs due to attenuation. So the second type of twisted pair cable is shielded twisted pair cable, and this type of cable consists of a special jacket to reduce external interference. It is used in fast data rate in Ethernet and in voice and data channels of telephone lines. Its advantages include it has better performance at a higher data rate in comparison to the unshielded twisted pair cable. It also eliminates the crosstalk. Comparatively, it is faster. Crosstalk means sometimes you can remember in the earlier times when landlines were used. So sometimes we call another person and we can hear echo or sounds between our conversation from some another line. So that is crosstalk. It eliminates the crosstalk comparatively faster than the unshielded twisted pair cable. But it also has some disadvantages. Comparatively, it is difficult to install and manufacture. It is more expensive and it is more bulky than the unshielded one. Second type of wired media is coaxial cable. So it has an outer plastic covering that contain two parallel conductors, as you can see in the diagram. So two parallel conductors are there, each having separate insulated protection cover. So it transmits information in two modes: either baseband mode, which is dedicated cable bandwidth, and broadband mode. So cable bandwidth is split into separate ranges. So cable TVs and analog television networks widely use the coaxial cable. So you can see the coaxial cable example if you see the cable TV network wires. So they're different two parallel conductors covered in outer plastic can be seen, which are separately insulated. Again, it has few advantages and disadvantages. Its advantages include it can be used for higher bandwidth, better noise immunity, it is easy to install and expand, it is inexpensive. But disadvantages include single cable failure can disrupt the entire network. So sometimes your cable network goes down because of some cable fails or some cable is broken. So unless and until that fault is removed, cable network cannot be restored. So the third type is optical fiber cable. It uses the concept of reflection of light. If you can remember the law of refraction and reflection, so just check it out. I'll also put a link in the description below about the refraction of light, so you can check it out there. So a core made up of glass or plastic is there through which reflection of light is passed. This core is surrounded by a less dense glass or plastic covering called the cladding. So this is used for the transmission of large volumes of data. So basically, whenever light passes through one medium to another medium having separate densities, so the refraction takes place. So using that refraction, the data or the signals are passed through that core, which is made up of glass or plastic. So its advantages include it has increased capacity and bandwidth, it is lightweight, it has less signal attenuation, it has immunity to the electromagnetic interference due to another copper wires or other metal wires, resistance to corrosive materials as glass or plastic is used. But it has some disadvantages also. It is difficult to install and maintain, it is higher in cost, it is very fragile, and also it is unidirectional. So if we want to communicate bidirectionally, we will need another fiber cable for this purpose. So this is all about the wired medium. Now we'll be talking about unguided media, which we'll cover in some another lecture in detail. So I'll be just giving you introduction about three major types of wireless media or unguided media. So this is also known as unbounded transmission media. So in this case, no physical medium is required for the transmission of electromagnetic signals. So its features are the signal is broadcasted through air, it is less secure, and it can be used for larger distances. For example, your internet. So there are three major types of unguided media: radio waves, microwaves, and infrared. So first, radio waves. These are very easy to generate and these can penetrate through buildings. Sending and receiving antennas need not to be aligned. So its frequency ranges from 3 kHz to 1 GHz. AM and FM radios and codeless phones we use are based upon radio waves for transmission. Second type is microwaves. It is a line of sight transmission, that is, sending and receiving antennas need to be properly aligned with each other. So distance covered by the signal is directly proportional to the height of the antenna. Its frequency range is 1 GHz to 300 GHz. So these are basically used for the mobile phone communication and television distribution. And the last type is infrared waves, which are used for very short distance communication, and these cannot penetrate through the obstacles, for example buildings. So this prevents interference between systems. Frequency ranges 300 GHz to 400 THz. It is used in TV remotes, wireless mouse, keyboard, printer, etc. So these are few examples of wireless mediums. After these transmission mediums, let's discuss what is internet, because all the data communication, all the computer networks come under the umbrella of internet. So in today's time, it is very rare to see a man or a van in isolation. So they are connected to one another. As you can recall, LAN, MAN and WAN are types of networks. So when two or more networks are connected, they become an internet. So if a company has three offices, first one is using LAN, second one is using MAN, which is located at a metro city, and their headquarter is in another country. So these are connected through the WAN. So these interconnections and collection of these three networks collectively can be termed as the internetwork or internet. So internet is defined as an information superhighway to access information over the web. However, it can be defined in many ways. So internet is a worldwide global system of interconnected computer networks. It uses standard in TCP/IP protocol. Every computer in internet is identified by a unique IP address. So special DNS or domain name server is used to give name to the IP address so that a user can locate a computer by a name. So internet is accessible to every user all over the world. It all started in around 1960s. The concept of internet was originated in 1969 and has undergone several technological and infrastructural changes. The origin of internet is devised from the concept of Advanced Research Project Agency Network, ARPANET. So it was developed by US Department of Defense. So basic purpose was to provide communication among various bodies of government. So initially there were only 4 nodes called host, which were in different universities of the United States. So it has covered nowadays every aspect of our lives. So we cannot think of our life without internet. So after this, let's move on to the network models. So the first model, OSI reference model. So this model is one of the general purpose networking or communication model among computer network models, so which is responsible for establishing connection in an open manner between all the communicable devices present across the globe. So it stands for Open System Interconnection, and the name of this reference model was given by an organization known as International Organization for Standardization. So ISO organization was the one who gave name to this reference model, and OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. So the ISO organization is responsible for generating and promoting industrial and commercial standards applicable for all the users or universally. So OSI model is called the open source because of its fit where anywhere ability. So any connection can be established using the OSI model unless and until any protocols are not used, as OSI model does not support protocol establishment. It runs without the use of protocols. All the networking devices which are open for communication can be connected together for data communication through the OSI model. Apart from OSI model, another computer network models which is widely used is TCP/IP model. So OSI model is for basic understanding about how the devices are able to communicate. So OSI model offers a layered architecture so that it allows the easy data communication, as each layer has predefined structure and functionalities. So the functionalities are different for each layer, and thus when combined together forms the OSI model. So there are in total 7 layers in general purpose OSI model. So these 7 layers for OSI model are application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer. So all these layers have different functionalities and we need to study these layers elaborately to understand the overall networking or data communication process. So we'll be covering this in upcoming lecture. And these layers are sequenced in fixed manner and this sequence cannot be changed. It means any alterations in the positions of the layers are not accepted. So the second model is TCP IP. So this model was developed prior to the OSI model and it is not exactly similar to OSI model. This model consists of 5 layers: application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer. The first 4 layers provide physical standards, network interface, internetworking and transport functions that correspond to the first 4 layers of the OSI model, and these 4 layers are represented in TCP IP model by a single layer called application layer. So this is a hierarchical protocol made up of interactive modules and each of them provides specific functionality. Here hierarchical means each upper layer protocol is supported by 2 or more lower level protocols. So in the next lectures or in any forthcoming lecture we will be discussing OSI layer model and TCP IP model in detail. So this was all about today's lecture. So here is the question for you all. So which topology according to you is the best and how? So you have to write down the advantages which you think will prove that this topology is the best topology. So that's all for from our side for today. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please press like, share, comment and subscribe. You can also write down in the comments below what topic or which subject you want us to cover. Till then, keep learning. Thank you.